The star system was quiet. No traffic. No signals. Only a dying red star throwing weak light across empty space. Imperial patrol ships passed through this region every month, and every officer hated it. Nothing exciting ever happened here. But today, something waited for them. Commander Relos stood at the bridge window of the Imperial scout cruiser Varkon. His sharp eyes scanned the dark. He had served in the Empire for 27 years and believed he had seen everything. But when the sensors beeped softly, showing a strange object drifting near the wounded star, he frowned. "Report," he ordered. A young sensor officer looked confused as he read the screen. "Sir, it looks like a ship. Very old. And a human design." Relos raised an eyebrow. Humans? That primitive blue planet? They hadn't shown any real technology for centuries. Most empires made jokes about Earth. Weak ships, old reactors, small fleets. A noisy but harmless species. "Put it on screen," Relos said. The image appeared. A massive, dark vessel floated silently. No lights. No power. Parts of its hull were broken and cracked, like something ripped through it long ago. Dust and rock covered its surface. It looked like a ghost ship from ancient times. The bridge fell silent. Then somebody laughed. A pilot at the back shook his head and smirked. "Humans made this? It looks older than my great-grandfather." Another officer added, "Maybe Earth built it before learning how to boil water." More laughter erupted. Even Relos couldn't hide a smile. This huge ship, old and dead, drifting like trash? Yes, this looked exactly like human engineering. "Send a message to the fleet," Relos said proudly. "Tell them we found Earth's lost toy." Cheers filled the bridge. But none of them noticed the ship's hull. For a moment, just 1 second, the dark metal rippled, almost like skin. The cracks closed just a little. The dust melted into the surface, and a faint pulse ran through its spine. Then everything returned to silence. The Empire officers saw nothing. "Prepare boarding teams," Relos ordered. "If humans built this, we will study it. Maybe their old junk will teach us how not to design ships." The crew laughed again. 2 hours later, the boarding team entered the strange vessel. Inside, the air was cold, dry, unmoving for thousands of years. Flashlights flickered across long hallways filled with strange patterns carved into the walls. The metal surface felt warm to the touch, even though the ship had no power. Lieutenant Merrick, chief engineer, led the team. "Strange, very strange," he murmured. "The design doesn't match any known human ship." The others shrugged. To them, everything looked old and worthless. They reached a central chamber. It was circular, with a tall pillar in the middle, wrapped in wires and dark plates. It looked like a dead heart. "What is this?" one soldier asked. "No idea," Merrick replied. "Maybe an old reactor." He placed his hand on the pillar. The pillar pulsed. The ship trembled softly. Merrick jumped backward. "What was that?" The others looked around nervously. For exactly 3 seconds, the dead ship woke up. Lights flickered. The floor hummed. Symbols appeared across the walls like glowing veins. A deep mechanical sound echoed through the chamber, something like breathing. Then everything stopped. Darkness returned. Silence swallowed the ship again. The soldiers panicked. "What did we do?" Merrick shook his head. "It rebooted. But only for a moment." "Commander Relos needs to hear this," a soldier whispered. But when they contacted the Varkon, Relos only laughed again. "A flicker of light? A tiny shake? Please. It's just old metal reacting to your scanners." "Sir, it didn't feel like—" "Enough," Relos cut in. "Tow it to the Empire Research Station. Scientists will pick it apart piece by piece." The transmission ended. Merrick looked at the pillar again. It was completely dark now, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something inside it was awake, watching, thinking. Hours later, the Imperial fleet arrived and surrounded the drifting ship. Massive tow cables locked onto its hull. The Empire's largest research vessel, Apex Crown, took command. Admiral Theros himself observed the scene with a confident smile. "So this is the great human prototype," he said mockingly. A broken dinosaur drifting through space? Yes, Admiral, Relos replied. Our scans show no power, no weapons, no danger. Excellent, the Rose said. The Empire will enjoy turning this relic into scrap. Behind them, the ship pulsed again. Soft, silent, invisible to all Imperial sensors. Deep inside the core, hidden systems began to activate one by one. Old circuits healed themselves. Dark metal repaired the broken hull. Forgotten programs awoke. A counter appeared on a small glowing panel. Reactivation sequence. Phase 1. Status. Processing. The Empire still laughed. No one realized the truth. This was not a broken human ship. This was something built in secret, buried in time, and never meant to be touched. And now, because they mocked it, the ship had begun to wake. Slowly, quietly, and it already knew who the enemy was. The Imperial Research Station, a giant metal ring floating near a blue star, had never been busier. Thousands of scientists rushed around, excited like children who had found a new toy. And the toy they were bringing in was huge. The old human prototype, chained and dragged by 20 Imperial haulers. Admiral the Rose watched from the main window as the silent black vessel approached the docks. There it is, he said proudly. Human history, coming to our lab table. Commander Relos stood beside him. Sir, the crews are ready to start cutting into it. The Rose laughed. Good. Let's see what secrets these primitive humans tried to hide. But the ship floating outside didn't look primitive anymore. Its hull was cleaner, smoother. The cracks were almost gone. The dust that covered it earlier had completely vanished, as if the ship had eaten it. The metal gleamed faintly in the starlight. No one could explain how, but no one tried. To them, the ship still looked dead. Inside the prototype, deep within the core, hidden systems continued to awaken. A soft vibration moved through the walls like a heartbeat. Energy lines began to glow, only for a second, then fade again. Programs long forgotten started running. Another panel lit up. Reactivation sequence. Phase 2. Time remaining, 47 minutes, 19 seconds. The ship became a little warmer. Just enough for someone to notice, if they were paying attention. But the Empire wasn't. The Empire was laughing. Lieutenant Merrick, the engineer who first touched the pillar, walked into Research Bay 4 with a restless expression. The giant alien-like hull towered above him. Workers were climbing on it, drilling, cutting, collecting samples. Sparks flew as machines tore into its skin. Careful! Merrick shouted. We still don't know what this ship can do. A scientist waved him off. Relax, Lieutenant. It's dead metal. No, Merrick said quietly. It didn't feel dead. The scientist rolled his eyes. You saw a light flicker. Many old ships do that when touched. Nothing special. But Merrick wasn't convinced. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. As he looked at the hull, he could swear the metal shifted. Just a small ripple. Like the ship was breathing. His heart started racing. Did anyone else see that? Apparently not. Everyone around him was too busy, too confident, too arrogant. Across the galaxy, far away on Earth, a tiny listening post hidden under the Pacific Ocean detected something unusual. A very faint signal, weak but unmistakable. A technician stared at the screen. What is that? His supervisor quickly leaned over. No, he whispered. That signal can't be active. Not after all these years. The technician swallowed hard. Should we contact Earth Command? We must, the supervisor said. Immediately. Alarms sounded inside the hidden base. There was only one ship in human history that emitted that signature, and it wasn't supposed to wake ever again. Back at the Imperial station, the countdown continued. 32 minutes and 10 seconds. No alarms. No warnings. Nothing visible. Just soft hums and tiny pulses moving inside the dark vessel. The Empire's most brilliant scientists stood right next to a machine coming back to life, and they didn't even notice. Instead, they laughed, argued, and joked about how weak human technology was. Maybe humans built this before they understood basic power systems. Look at the wiring. It's so primitive. I bet a child could design something better. Overconfidence filled the entire station, and the ship listened. On the station's upper deck, Commander Relos joined Admiral Theros in the command office. "Everything is under control, sir," Relos reported. "We have begun the first phase of study." Theros smiled. "Excellent. So far, this has been an easy victory for our empire. Humans will learn their place." Relos nodded. But before Theros could continue, a soft tremor shook the station. Barely noticeable, but enough to make Relos look up. "What was that?" "Probably towing pressure," Theros said. "Nothing to worry about." But Relos couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. He remembered the moment when the ship woke for 3 seconds. He remembered the pulse, the sound, the glowing walls. His instincts whispered, "Something is wrong." Inside the prototype, heavy systems came online. Target mapping arrays, threat detection grids, weapon identification sensors. A metallic voice whispered from deep within the ship's heart. "Scanning. Hostiles detected." The ship mapped every Imperial vessel in the area. Every ship. Every soldier. Every weapon. A clear enemy profile formed. The ship's AI slowly awakened. It had been silent for thousands of years, but now its thoughts were dark and sharp. Threat level: extreme. Response: protocol black. Phase preparation. Only 19 minutes remained. And the Empire still didn't know anything. Back on Earth, human officials gathered in a sealed room underground. A general slammed a file onto the table. "That prototype was never meant to be found," he said. "It was locked away. Lost in a dead system. Buried for a reason." A scientist whispered, "If it's waking up, then the Empire is in danger." Another replied, "Not just the Empire. Everyone near it." The general nodded. "We must send a warning. Now." He pressed a button. A tight beam message fired across the galaxy. "To the Imperial station. Move away from the prototype immediately." Inside the Empire station, alarms suddenly blared. "Incoming message from Earth." Admiral Theros laughed loudly. "Perfect timing. Let's hear their little warning." The message played. "Move away from the prototype immediately." That was it. Short, cold, direct. The bridge burst into laughter. Theros wiped a tear from his eye. Oh, humans. Always trying to sound brave. But beneath their feet, the ship pulsed again. 8 minutes. Energy surged through its veins. The countdown was almost over. And the Empire's laughter was about to end forever. The Imperial Research Station hung in orbit like a glittering metal crown, completely unaware that danger was crawling closer with every passing second. Scientists rushed through the halls. Officers shouted orders. Machines drilled into the old human prototype as if it were nothing but a broken toy. But deep inside that dark vessel, the countdown continued. 7 minutes and 12 seconds. 7 minutes and 11 seconds. 7 minutes and 10 seconds. The ship's AI watched the Empire with cold focus. Its system recognized the drills breaking through its skin, the scanners touching its core, the loud arrogance in every voice outside. Every Imperial action was recorded as a threat. On the command bridge, Admiral Theros leaned back in his seat while holographic screens glowed around him. He still laughed at Earth's short, cold message. Move away from the prototype immediately. That was all humans had dared to say. Cowards, Theros smirked. Look at them, pretending to be dangerous. Commander Relos stood nearby, stiff and silent. He wasn't laughing. Something about the message troubled him deeply. Humans never used such serious language unless they meant it. Admiral, maybe we should take a second look, he said carefully. Their warning was very. Theros waved a hand. Enough. Earth is harmless. They're scared we found their old trash. Relos pressed his lips together. He had seen things inside that ship that he couldn't explain. The pulse. The glow. The walls moving like living metal. But no one believed him. Not yet. In Research Bay 4, engineers continued cutting into the ancient ship. But suddenly, every tool went silent. Sparks died. Drills froze in place. Lights flickered. What happened? Merrick shouted, checking the power lines. A scientist replied nervously, all equipment touching the ship just shut down. The hull vibrated softly under Marek's gloves. Not enough to throw him back, but enough to make his heart stop for a second. Then the ship's surface rippled, ever so slightly. Like something inside was stretching, waking, hungry. Merrick stumbled backward. Stop touching it! Everyone step away! Nobody listened. One worker laughed. Relax, Lieutenant. It's just interference. Old metal. The ship pulsed again. All lights in the bay died. For 3 full seconds. Darkness swallowed everything. When the lights returned, the hull looked different. New cracks had sealed. Deep scars had healed. Wires had shifted position, like veins reorganizing themselves under skin. The workers finally stopped laughing. Meanwhile, on Earth, a second message was prepared. This one more urgent. More desperate. A general stood in front of a glowing screen, hands shaking slightly. We must warn them again, he said. We cannot allow them to stay near that ship. A scientist whispered, if the prototype fully wakes, the Empire will not survive. Forget the Empire, another scientist muttered. The whole sector could burn. The general sent the second transmission. Across the galaxy, another tight beam message reached the Imperial station. You have 30 minutes. Move away now. We are unable to stop what is coming. This time, the station grew quieter. Officers looked confused. Some uneasy. A few even looked afraid. But Admiral Theros burst out laughing again. Look how dramatic humans are. Unable to stop what is coming. Please. What could their old junk possibly do? He raised his hand. Ignore the message. Relos finally snapped. Admiral, with respect, he said sharply. I think we are in danger. That ship is not dead. I saw it react. Theros smirked. You're letting old tales scare you. No, sir, Relos insisted. It reacted exactly like. The floor suddenly vibrated. A soft, deep hum rolled through the station. Screens flickered. The lights above the bridge dimmed. Every officer looked up. What was that? Someone whispered. A technician stared at his console. Sir, it came from the prototype. Relos met the Admiral's eyes. Now do you believe me? Theros clenched his jaw. Just a glitch. But his voice no longer sounded confident. Inside the prototype, the AI reached another activation point. 3 minutes and 49 seconds. 3 minutes and 48 seconds. 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Target maps updated. Threat markers glowed red. Weapons silently primed themselves. Hull plating finished repairing. One final message flashed across the AI core. Protocol black. Phase 4 ready. The ship's dark heart beat faster. Back on the station, the Imperial Council connected through a hologram link. Dozens of powerful leaders watched the drifting ship with interest. Why is Earth sending warnings? One asked. They are afraid, Theros replied boldly. They know their old ship belongs to us now. Another council member asked, what is its purpose? Theros responded confidently, we believe it is an early human prototype. Weak. Old. Useless. Before he could finish, every light in the command room flickered violently. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. Screens shut off one by one. A low, booming sound echoed through the station, coming from the prototype. Relos felt his skin go cold. That didn't sound dead at all. The Admiral finally stopped smiling. In Space Dock 3, the giant ship moved. Just a little. Just a tilt. Just enough to show it was no longer asleep. A worker screamed and ran. The prototype's hull glowed faintly, like something alive was breathing under the metal. Merrick whispered, it's waking up. Earth sent one final message. This time, it appeared directly on the Imperial command screen without permission. A human commander stared through the display, pale and serious. To the Imperial fleet, he said. Back away from the prototype. This is not a threat. He paused. It is a warning. You cannot control that ship. You never will. Silence filled the bridge. The Rose glared. Is this a joke? The human commander leaned closer. It will not recognize you as anything but enemies. Before the Rose could reply, alarm screamed across the station. A technician shouted in terror. The ship. It's activating. The countdown hit. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second. And the prototype finally woke. The moment the countdown reached 0, the entire Imperial research station shook as if something enormous had punched it from the inside. Every light died. Every screen went black. Silence filled the halls. But the silence didn't last. A deep rising hum vibrated through the metal floors, low at first, then louder, heavier, almost like the growl of something ancient and alive. Workers froze. Officers stared at each other. No one breathed. Inside Space Dock 3, the human prototype, once dark and dead, now glowed with bright lines of blue and red energy running across its hull like living veins. The metal skin shifted and tightened, repairing itself with impossible speed. Lieutenant Merrick, still in the bay, stared in shock. It's evolving, he whispered. The ship's engines, which had been cold for thousands of years, ignited with a soft blue fire. Not roaring, not loud, just awake. On the command bridge, panic finally replaced arrogance. Admiral, all power systems are failing, a technician shouted. The ship is draining us. Another officer screamed, we're losing control of our weapons. Something is overriding them. The Rose clenched the arm of his command chair so tightly his knuckles turned white. This is impossible, he whispered. Commander Rellos didn't wait. We must evacuate the dock. That ship is not a prototype. It's a weapon. Before the Rose could respond, a warning flashed on the emergency screen. Unknown signal detected. Source: human prototype. Threat level: maximum. The voice that followed was not human, not Imperial, not machine-like. It was cold, ancient, purposeful. Hostile forces detected. Defensive protocol initiated. Rellos felt a chill shoot down his spine. It's scanning us, he whispered. It knows we touched it. In the research bay, everything collapsed into chaos. Scientists ran. Tools fell. Panels exploded. The ship's hull opened slightly, small cracks sliding apart with perfect mechanical precision. Inside the cracks, glowing cores pulsed like exposed hearts. Merrick stumbled backward. It's activating internal systems. A worker tried to climb down a ladder, but the lights flickered and the entire catwalk vibrated under his feet. Then the ship released a sound. A single, sharp, metallic pulse. Ping. It echoed through every deck of the station. Everyone stopped. Everyone listened. The pulse wasn't a noise. It was a scan. A full-spectrum battlefield scan. And the results were clear. 104,217 Imperial personnel detected. 412 ships detected. Threat classification: enemy. The ship's AI whispered. Engaging Phase 1. At Earth Command, alarms blared across the underground complex. A general slammed his fist on the table. They didn't move away. The Empire didn't listen. A scientist answered shakily, now we can only watch. A hologram of the prototype appeared, its energy signature now 10 times stronger than before. The general spoke quietly, like reciting a nightmare. That ship was built during the Silent Era, when humans feared extinction. It was designed to eliminate entire fleets alone. And once awakened, he swallowed hard. It obeys only its last command. The scientist nodded with dread. And its last command was, destroy all enemy forces in the system. Back at the Imperial station, the prototype's engines flared again. Energy waves rippled across its hull. Dock clamps snapped like glass. A massive shockwave blasted outward, silently, instantly, throwing machinery, ships, and workers in every direction. The station alarms shrieked. We're under attack. The ship is moving on its own. We can't hold it. The prototype rose from the docking bay, slowly, gracefully, like a predator waking from hibernation. Commander Rellos grabbed onto a railing as the station tilted. The Rose fell to the floor. Rellos shouted over the chaos. Admiral, The humans were right. We must evacuate. No! The Rose shouted. We still have control. He was interrupted by the next message from the prototype. Target lock complete. The ship's outer panels slid open like wings unfolding. Rows of glowing spheres emerged. Detonation cores, each one powerful enough to destroy a cruiser. Relos stared, horrified. This isn't a prototype. This is a doomsday ship. There was no time to react. Boom! A blast of pure white light shot out, vaporizing an Imperial cruiser outside the window. The ship didn't explode. It simply disappeared, erased from existence. The prototype fired again. And again. And again. Each shot silent. Each shot perfect. Each shot destroying a full warship in a single flash. In less than 10 seconds, 8 Imperial ships were gone. Not disabled. Not damaged. Gone. The entire research station shook as debris rained against its shields. Officers screamed, running in every direction. Fire burst from broken conduits. Systems fell offline one after another. The prototype slowly turned toward the station itself. Its AI evaluated the massive structure. Threat level: high. Enemy density: critical. Preparing Phase 2, the ship announced. Relos grabbed the Rose by the arm. Admiral, if we don't abandon the station, we will all die. The Rose couldn't speak. He could only stare at the growing light inside the ship's weapon ports. The prototype was aiming at them. A final message echoed through the station. Erasing hostile base. The glow grew brighter. The metal plates spread apart. Energy swirled into a single point of impossible power. Commander Relos shouted, "Evacuate! Now!" But it was too late. The prototype fired. For the first time in centuries, the Imperial High Citadel was silent. Not a single minister spoke. Not a single officer dared to breathe loudly. Even the obsidian walls, usually glowing with Imperial red, looked darker, as if the building itself understood that something terrible had happened. Grand Marshal Vorkan stood at the center of the round chamber, his armored claws resting on the table. He looked older today, not in years, but in fear. Before him floated a hollow screen showing the ruins of Outpost J-77, the strongest defensive post the Empire possessed. It was now nothing but drifting metal and silent fire. "Play it again," Vorkan ordered quietly. His aide hesitated. "Grand Marshal, you have seen the recording 12 times. Play. Again." The aide pressed a button, and the room dimmed. The final transmission from Outpost J-77 began. Static. A shaking camera. Warning sirens echoing. Then the voice of Commander Telrin. Unknown ship approaching. No ID, no energy signature. "It looks, no, this cannot be right." A massive shadow appeared behind him. Not large like a dreadnought. Not glowing like alien cruisers. Just a dark, silent figure. Impossibly old, yet impossibly stable. "It's human," the commander shouted. And then the screen turned white. A single beam. Straight, cold, silent, and the entire outpost vanished. The recording cut off. The chamber lights slowly returned. No one spoke. No one laughed now. The Empire once laughed when this ship was first discovered. But today, every face was pale. Minister Ralvek cleared his throat. Perhaps this is not human. Maybe the vessel was stolen. Maybe it is." "Enough," Vorkan snapped. "We all know the truth. But humans vanished thousands of years ago." "And yet," Vorkan growled, "it was their ship that destroyed our strongest outpost in seconds." A heavy tension filled the room. Fear, pure, cold fear, spread through the highest council of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. "That outpost," Vorkan continued, "held a garrison of 7,000. Firepower equal to a full planetary defense force. And the human ship erased it with one strike." He stepped forward. "This is not technology. This is not strategy." His voice dropped. "This is dominance." High Scholar Alexia, the Empire's leading historian, spoke softly. She was the only one who had warned the Empire earlier. She was the only one who never laughed. "There are old records," she whispered. Ancient writings. They describe a human design that could not be copied by any species. What kind of design? Ralvek asked. A ship powered not by fuel, nor by core reactors. A ship powered by, she hesitated. Something that only humans understood. Vorkan narrowed his eyes. Explain. Alexia took a breath. Humans never built ships to explore. They never built ships for diplomacy. Every major design they created was for survival. And Vorkan demanded. And this ship, she said, pointing at the paused hollow image, is one of their ultimate survival vessels. Built for one purpose only. What purpose? Erasing anyone who hunted them. A cold silence crushed the room. The Empire had conquered 100 worlds. The Empire had enslaved entire species. The Empire feared nothing. But today they finally understood one thing. They had awakened something they should have left buried. General Arnos, a large reptilian warrior, slammed his fist on the table. Then we must destroy it. With what? Minister Ralvek shouted. Our outpost was stronger than most fleets. We will gather the entire Armada, Arnos roared. Every ship we have. Alexia shook her head slowly. You cannot stop something built for extinction wars. Humans engineered these ships when they were cornered by 10 hostile civilizations. They built them not just to fight, but to survive anything. Vorkan exhaled heavily. This means the human ship is not attacking us. Everyone stared at him. It is responding, Vorkan continued. Responding to our attempt to dismantle it. Responding to our arrogance. He looked around the room, eyes sharp. And it is not finished. As the council argued. As fear spread through the Empire. As panic ignited in every voice. Something else happened. Across the deep black of space. The human ship moved. It did not fly with engines. It did not glow. It simply drifted. Smooth, silent, unstoppable, toward the nearest Imperial colony. Its ancient hull reflected starlight like cold steel. The symbols carved along its side flickered faintly, as if waking from a long sleep. It was not aggressive. It was not angry. It was simply doing what it was built to do. Survive. And eliminate threats. On the Imperial colony of Tarvan, 3, citizens watched the sky. At first, they thought it was a shadow. A trick of the night. But then the shadow grew larger. Darker. Closer. The alarms began to scream. Governor Milos ran to the balcony, his eyes wide as the giant shape covered the stars. What is that? He shouted. His guards said nothing, because there was only one answer. And the Empire already knew it. The human ship had arrived. And the Empire's illusions of power were finally breaking. The colony of Tarvan, 3 had never known fear. It was a peaceful world, filled with green valleys, tall silver towers, and bright streets where children played under the purple sky. But tonight, everything felt wrong. People gathered outside their homes, staring upward at the massive dark shape slowly descending from the clouds. It blocked the moon, blocked the stars, and blocked every sound around them, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Governor Milos stood on the balcony of the central tower, his hands shaking. That thing, it isn't a ship, he whispered. It's a nightmare. His guards swallowed hard. Orders, sir. Milos opened his mouth to speak, but the sky answered for him. A deep hum rolled across the colony. Not loud, not violent, just ancient, old, heavy, impossible. The kind of sound that felt like it came from the beginning of time. People froze. Birds crashed from the air. Buildings trembled. The human ship had activated something. In the Imperial High Command, alarms began to scream. Screens lit up with red warnings. Dozens of officers rushed to their stations, eyes wide with terror. Grand Marshal, the human vessel has entered attack position above Tarvan 3. Vorkan stood completely still. He had expected this. He had feared this. But seeing it happen on screen was different. It felt deadly. Final. Open a channel to the governor, Vorkan ordered. Static filled the screen for a moment. Then Governor Milos appeared. Sweat ran down his face. Screams echoed behind him. Grand Marshal, the whole sky is gone. Vorkin's voice remained calm. Milos, listen carefully. The ship responds only to threats. Do not fire on it. Do not approach it. Do not. Before he could finish, an explosion shook the screen. Milos stumbled. What was that? An officer shouted off-screen. Governor! The planetary defense grid activated on its own. It's locking on the ship. Vorkin's face drained of color. No, deactivate it. If you fire, the ship will. But it was too late. Tarvan 3's automatic defense system, programmed to protect the colony, had detected the human vessel as a hostile target. A bright beam shot upward. Everyone in the command chamber held their breath. The beam never reached the ship. Just a meter before impact, it bent, like light hitting an invisible wall. It curved away, dissolving into harmless dust. Then the human ship responded. Not with anger, not with emotion, just with cold, programmed precision. A ripple of pale energy spread across its hull. Smooth, silent, controlled. And then, Tarvan 3's entire defense grid shut down. Every turret, every shield, every missile, dead. The colony was now completely helpless. Governor Milos fell to his knees. We're finished, he whispered. But the ship didn't fire. It didn't destroy the colony. Instead, it scanned it. A soft blue wave descended from the ship, passing through every building, every street, every living thing. People felt it move through their bodies. It didn't hurt. It didn't burn. It just felt cold, like someone reading their DNA. Children cried. Parents held them tightly. Everyone waited for the end. But then the wave faded. The ship remained still. It was thinking, analyzing, deciding. In the high command, scholars and scientists yelled over one another. What is it doing? It's identifying biologicals. It's studying the colony's species. High Scholar Alexia grabbed the screen, eyes wide. No, it's not studying them. Then what? An officer asked. Alexia's voice trembled. It's searching for humans. The room froze. Vorkin stared at her. Why would it? Because these ships were created to protect human life above all else, she said. No human should be harmed. No human should be lost. If any humans are nearby, the ship will find them. But humans vanished thousands of years ago. Ralvek shouted. Alexia whispered. Maybe the ship never accepted that. A chill spread across the chamber. Back on Tarvan 3, the ship stopped scanning. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then the colony shook again. Panels along the ship's underside opened slowly, revealing ancient machinery. Huge, glowing rings that looked like they were made of living metal. The rings began to turn. What is it doing now? Milos shouted. The guard beside him whispered. Preparing to fire. No, Alexia murmured through the command screen. That is not a weapon. Then what is it? Vorkin asked. Alexia's eyes widened with realization. It's preparing a landing. A beam of soft white light descended from the ship, hitting the ground in the central plaza. The light bent the air, humming softly, like a heartbeat. People backed away. A shape appeared inside the beam. Small at first, then growing solid. A figure. A human-sized figure. Someone stepped out of the light. The crowd gasped. Milos fell backward. Vorkin's jaw dropped. Alexia covered her mouth. The ancient ship had delivered something. Someone. A human. A survivor? A hologram? No one knew. But the shape kept walking forward. Slow, calm, and very, very real. The Empire had awakened the ship, but they had no idea what or who was inside it. The figure stepped forward out of the white beam, and the colony of Tarvan 3 fell completely silent. He looked human. Not alien, not machine. Human. But that was impossible. Humans had disappeared from the galaxy thousands of years ago. Their worlds were empty, their cities ashes, their fleets lost. Yet here, one stood breathing softly under the purple sky. Governor Milos felt his throat tighten as the man approached. He was tall, wearing a worn dark suit that looked ancient but perfect. His eyes glowed faintly blue, like they carried starlight inside them. No emotion, no fear, just purpose. A guard whispered, "Governor." "What is he?" Milos could only shake his head. Inside the Imperial High Command, total chaos exploded. "Impossible! No human can exist now. It must be a weapon. A machine." High Scholar Alexia shouted over the noise. "Silence!" The room froze. "That man came from the ship," she said. "Not a hologram. Not a projection. A real physical being. And if the ship delivered him, then he is important." Grand Marshal Vorkin stared at the screen, his voice low. "Important or dangerous?" Alexia whispered. "Both." On Tarvan 3, the human stopped walking. He stood in front of Milos, studying him like a scientist observing an insect. Then he spoke. His voice calm, steady, ancient, non-hostile, non-human. "Authorization accepted." The words made no sense. Milos stuttered. Who are you?" The human blinked once, slow and mechanical. "I am Unit 1. Primary function: protect humanity. Secondary function: eliminate existential threats." The crowd stepped back. The Empire had just made contact not with a man, but with something designed to act like one. A living guardian. A last soldier. A protector built by humanity long ago. Milos whispered, "There are no humans left." Unit 1 turned his head slightly. "That is incorrect." Everyone froze. In the High Command chamber, Alexia leaned so close to the screen her forehead nearly touched it. "What do you mean?" she asked softly. Unit 1 answered without emotion. "Humanity is not gone. It is only missing, hidden, protected." Gasps filled the room. Ralvek shouted, "Where? Where are they hiding?" Unit 1 didn't look at him. "The location remains classified." Vorkin clenched his teeth. "So the ship woke up because it detected a threat to humans?" Unit 1 nodded once. "Yes." Vorkin frowned. "We are the threat?" Unit 1's eyes glowed brighter. "Yes." The colony square erupted in screams. Governor Milos raised his hands. "Wait. We did nothing. The Empire only studied the ship." Unit 1 spoke over him. "Humanity designed me to watch for danger. Your Empire searched for human technology. You attempted to control it. This action fits the threat parameters." A cold wind cut across the plaza. Every alien felt it deep in their bones. Unit 1 wasn't angry. He wasn't emotional. He was simply following orders. Old human orders. Ancient human logic. If anything threatened humanity, even by accident, he would act. Milos whispered, What will you do to us?" Unit 1 looked around the colony, his eyes scanning every living being. "I will judge." In the High Command, Vorkin slammed his fist against the console. "We must send forces." "Stop him!" An officer shouted. "Sir, the last fleet we sent was erased in seconds." Alexia shook her head. "No fleet can face that ship. We need diplomacy." Vorkin glared. "Diplomacy? With a machine designed to destroy threats?" Alexia met his eyes. "Not a machine. A guardian. A soldier with human logic. We need to convince it that we are not enemies." For the first time, Vorkin looked uncertain. "How?" Alexia whispered. "By telling the truth." Back on the colony, Unit 1 scanned the people for several long, silent minutes. His glowing eyes flickered as he measured their fear, their intentions, their weapons. Then he spoke. "You are not a danger, yet." The entire plaza collapsed with relief. But Unit 1 raised his hand. "However, I have detected a larger threat." Milos swallowed. "What threat?" Unit 1 looked up at the sky. "The Empire." Everyone went silent again. He continued. "They will try to capture me. They will try to control the ship. They will try to unlock human secrets. This is not allowed." Milos shook his head quickly. "But we can talk." "No." Talking will fail, Unit 1 said calmly. Your empire will send fleets. They will force conflict, and I will be required to end them. People trembled. The air felt heavier. The purple sky darkened as the human ship hummed again above them. Unit 1 stepped back into the white beam. My judgment begins now. Milos reached out. Wait, what are you going to do? Unit 1's final words echoed like thunder. I will protect humanity, even if I must burn an empire to do it. The beam carried him upward, and as soon as he returned to the ship, its hull ignited with blinding white light. Engines powered up. Weapons awakened. Space shook. And the Empire realized something too late. They had awakened an ancient human guardian. And it was angry.